This program is rated MA. It contains adult themes, coarse language, sexual references, and violence.
All right,
Wait.
I don't know why I said anything there. I was like, I know he's gonna come back with a. Anyway, it's Open Cobs. It's Friday. We're back. We're here. I'm Drayden. We got Brisk. We got LB. We got Hyper. Dirk is at a birthday party.
That's what he says. I think that's bullshit.
And Rain apparently is heading to a Backstreet Boys concert. So
we don't work.
I can't believe that they're still together after all this time.
I'm shocked. Yeah, I that's news to me. I thought that them and NSYNC were long gone.
Well, the money run out, so they got the band back together. Now they're back on the road again.
You need a couple bucks? Yeah, let's do another concert. Yeah. Rain will come, and she'll give us money.
Specifically for Rain.
If you, I was gonna do a Field of Dreams joke, and I couldn't piece it together. Never mind.
You're too sober so far.
I know. Oh, well, we can fix that. Let's just jump right into the shot. CSM Summit. That's the first summit of CSM 14?
CSM 14.
Yay.
All of our friends.
Everybody! Hey.
Liz Reed, thanks for the 18 months up. It's interesting not being there this time, watching all the guys go and do the same stuff that we did last time, and the same. They went to Grill Market for their dinner on Thursday night like we did, and they're hanging out, drinking every night, and Nom Nom's getting yelled at by the guys in the hotel lobby like he did the last time, and it's just funny. So it just I feel like we're caught in some time loop. I just don't happen to be there this time.
Yeah. Well, so. You're under NDA, so you can't talk about what, inside meeting stuff, but you can, now that you're not on the CSM, you can speculate about, because you and Dirk were doing a whole bunch of, clue sleuthing and stuff with the tweets, like, oh, see this picture, this guy is here, and that guy's not there, so that means that everyone's off doing, you were, putting together this whole conspiracy theory of, various groups having,
there was a lot of tinfoil hats.
Yeah, there was tinfoil hats. Not being together when they should have been.
Well, I mean, look, so here's the thing. So, at least, I can't speak to previous CSMs, but our last CSM was pretty tight, and we almost did everything together. We would go out to get lunch together, we'd go out to dinner together every night. Even if it wasn't a CCP event, we all pretty much hung out. And then we would go and hang out in the basement of the hotel, or the front level of the hotel, and we'd sit and we'd drink all night long. And the devs would come and go. Some would come and meet us. We'd go out and meet them. But largely speaking, all of us stayed together most of the time. There were a couple times when one or two of us would break off and say, all right, I'm tired, I'm going to bed, or something like that. But for the most part, everybody stayed together. But it seemed like, at least in the beginning of the week of this CSM, when we're watching the guys on Twitter or watching what they're doing and talking to them, that it seemed like it got very cliquey in the beginning, and there were some groups going off and doing their own thing and some staying together, and we wondered, what does that mean? Is there a schism? Is there a split? Are these guys not being friends with each other? But I mean, by the time, by the end of the week, plan? Exactly. What could it possibly mean? Who's getting turned this time? Yeah. But it looks like everybody is
taking pictures.
There's some.
Well, that's it.
There's some new people. Dunk is in the chat, but he's in the airport, so he's not able to come on.
Yeah.
I asked her earlier. I feel bad for Dunk because he's got to basically go from Iceland to Boston and then from Boston to LA, And that's,
Oh.
I mean, those are both 5-hour flights.
He must already be in Boston then or something, because he says he's got 6 hours more of travel, so
that
he must already be in
sucks.
Boston.
We tweeted from Iceland with a cup of coffee earlier.
Oh, yeah, that was
Oh
this
yeah.
morning.
Well, what I will say is, if you ever go to Iceland, it is absolutely worth bidding on an upgrade to first class, because the first class lounge in the Reykjavik airport is top notch, and they have great stuff, and it's fun to hang out there, and it's much better than standing in a line, an amorphous blob of people, because there's literally nowhere to sit in that fucking airport. It's one of the worst laid out airports ever, because it used to be an Air Force base. It's just bad. That's it. I don't want to sit on the floor. So pay the money and get a seat.
I wear trashy cargo shorts, dude. So.
And the Appleton's free, so you can drink that.
High quality fashion trading, not trash.
Your money's still good, whether it comes
It's
out of
utility,
cargo shorts
man.
or
I got pockets for everything.
Have you ever gone to FanFest? Have you ever gone to Iceland?
No, I've never been east of.
Because I would love to see you wearing cargo shorts in like February in Iceland. That'd be great.
See,
I've
worn
I'll wear shorts.
cargo shorts and sandals in Alaska in the middle of winter. So
where?
I would
Where?
In Kotzebue, so it's above the Arctic Circle. It was snow everywhere. It was very cold.
I was gonna say, if you were in like Anchorage or Juneau, I was gonna laugh and make fun of you.
Anchorage
but if you're like above the
warm.
circle, that's pretty awesome.
I mean, it gets cold in the winter, but it's not like Prudhoe Bay cold there. There's like ocean currents that keep.
It was
I lived
negative
in
like
Anchorage when I
10
was a kid.
degrees.
But no, I mean, I'll wear shorts when it's like 50 out. So, I mean, it's not going to be 50 in February in Iceland, but no, I've never been.
50 right now.
Toronto and technically Miami is the farthest east I've been, but that was just to get on a cruise ship like 4 years ago. I flew to Miami and got on the boat. So, well, actually, technically,
So you have been to the East Coast at least one time. That's better than nothing.
We went to get dinner and have some drinks at a bar in Miami. That's my experience on the East Coast, like the actual coast. So
there you go. So otherwise, at least in terms of the CSM summit, we don't know what they talked about, other than the typical cryptic Hilmar random tweets that don't make a lot of sense to any of us.
Yeah, so stupid.
I forget what it was. There was one that it just.
Rare earth magnets and some other shit?
It was just
rare earth
it
minerals.
basically said.
What was the last thing on there?
It said CSM summary so far: global warming, rare earth minerals, and Titan Tians.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell that means.
Yeah, I'm assuming it was.
None of us know what it means.
They were drinking.
Some kind of an inside joke. Someone needs to show Hilmar the DM function.
I think Hilmar is still on his coke spree.
It's coke.
But that's just me.
And then Hilmar said 10 hours ago, thanks for an excellent summit, CSM 14. Over the decades, I've attended many CSM summits. This was defensively one of the best. Now, I assume that's an autocorrect fail, but it would be funny if they really meant defensively. Like, these guys had to defend more than before, and they had,
I can't get it out of my head now. Like with Hyper Sata's coke spree, I could just imagine him running around Reykjavik left and right, just like yelling at people like chaos, like running
chaos. Chaos!
Half naked Hilmar running around chaos in Reykjavik.
They had to defend chaos.
Man.
But no, so I'm just wondering because there was people joking that there was like this CSM had a lot of tension with it. I would assume so because of all the tension in the game right now. There's a whole bunch of negative Nancy's out there, I guess, as Rix would say, but
yeah, Rix kind of got into it with some people today. What was that all about?
It was just it was Rix put out a blog. I didn't read the thing, a lot of it, but I got the gist that he's basically put out a blog saying like everyone just needs to not be so negative. Like games change, deal with it, and then other people say it just turned into like Dirk put out. There's a slap fight. It was just Twitter slap fight, not a big deal.
Well, he posted
a Twitter
it
slap
after
fight between someone who's always negative and Rix. So
yeah.
Of course, when he puts out a post that says "Don't be negative," this guy's gonna come out and be like, "No, but why?
Don't tell me what to do.
You're not my dad."
You're not the boss of me.
Because Rix was like, Rix posted the day before on Twitter about saying how he's seen all these new people come back to the game, and I was like, yeah, it's so great. And I posted like the concurrent users. It was like 14,000. Obviously,
which
I
is
was
significantly
sarcastic.
lower than a few years ago.
Oh yeah, hugely significantly lower. So I took that as his negative jab towards me. But I could be reading into it too.
Maybe that's just with the blackout, the bots don't log in anymore, and that's like the real people.
But
yeah, obviously
didn't you see
bots.
did you guys, speaking of bots, I want to give kudos to the dude who figured out that the client was logging when ships that were cloaked were in warp, and if you had a bot that could pull the logs, you could find out when there was anybody cloaked on the grid with you and when they were moving around. And they have hotfixed that for September, but that's the kind of that's the kind of community sleuthing that you only see in Eve. I mean, it's just amazing that somebody figured that out and then tested it and then proved it. It's just great, and I think it's great. And I was getting made fun of because people were like, how do you got? I said with the local changes, a lot of these bots don't use local to figure out when you're there. And these guys had said, "Oh, Brisk, tell me this," and I'm not going to tell them that. I'm not going to tell them what behind the scenes shit because I don't want them knowing. And obviously, the fact that this was out there was proof that yes, these bots are doing something other than pulling local, and that's great. So I thought it was just funny that they caught it, and I'm glad they patched the thing.
Yeah, it was impressive though. I mean, what game do people figure out that sort of stuff? It's kind of like, well, that's kind of insane,
right?
There's a lot of games.
A lot of other games.
Awesome. Yeah, there's a lot of games that have like secrets and little Easter eggs, and somehow people find them. Even it's like, oh, if you go to this one exact spot and hit left, right, up, down.
Postcode spawns.
Yeah, like I don't know. I don't know how those people find that stuff. Also, Deathlock 3000 before the show started resubbed, and I meant to call it out, but
I have another announcement to make.
Oh yeah, Archie.
This is Archer. He is the newest member of the Brisk Rubal family.
Oh, hey Archer.
We call him Archie. He's still alive. He, as you guys all know, my cat of 17 years passed away in December, and we got the crazy dog Trip. But my wife had been bugging me and saying, "Brisk, you seem like you really need a cat." And I was like, "No, I don't want a cat. We got a dog. We're good. We're good to go." And she kept bugging me and kept bugging me. And the reality was, I kept saying no, but my heart really wasn't in it. So we had started looking for cats, I guess, about a month ago. And we had found one that we thought was kind of cute. And it was this black and white tuxedo cat. And we went to go visit it. And the cat and I did not get along, at all. And I didn't want to get another orange cat because Howie was orange. I didn't want people thinking I was just trying to replace my last cat with a new cat. But we talked to the rescue people and we said, here's really what we're looking for. Do you have anything like this? And the woman said, actually, we have one that just got returned from the family 2 days ago. And would you want to come see him right now? We went over, saw him, and took him home the same day. So this is Archie. Nice. So we have Trip and Archer now. And if you're Star Trek fans, you'll get the reference.
Yeah, that's Star Trek Enterprise, right?
Exactly.
Trip was probably my favorite character on that whole thing. It was like
Trip was awesome. He was my favorite character.
It was like George Bush Jr. If he was an engine mechanic.
And it was absolute bullshit. They killed him in the last fucking episode. There was no reason to do that.
Spoilers, dude.
He probably deserved it.
What? You've seen it.
I've seen season 1 and I think an episode of
that show has been off the air for 10 years. There's no excuse.
I know. I was
Your intensity is for shit. Anyway.
Well, let's do shots.
So, shots to Archie. Welcome home, buddy.
Wait, you said Archer.
And he's Archer. Archie.
Archibald.
We call him a lot of different stuff. He is very interested in my wine glass now. That might be bad.
Wine. Scotch.
Speaking of Star Trek, little quick side tangent. They're making some new Star Trek thing with Picard in it. Patrick Stewart's coming back. When is that? I heard about that a year or two ago.
They've started filming. They've had some trailers. Data's in it, and looks like they're gonna have a couple people coming back.
Data's cool. Aged.
No, he looks. I mean, obviously, Brent Spiner's aged. So
they had to,
they could CGI put a shit ton of makeup on him. Yeah, they could. Well, they put a ton of makeup on him, at least in the trailer. But he looked like.
I feel
good, so we'll see.
I was gonna say they have some really good CGI de-aging, but I'm sure that costs money and probably more money than Star Trek is willing to put in a budget. So makeup it is.
I didn't tell my wife that Trip died in the last episode. She's mad now. She's not.
Yeah, Riker's. I was thinking of 7 of 9 won't be in it. That was Voyager.
Sad.
No, but I think Seven is going to be in it. I'm
What?
pretty sure I saw her. I think I saw her in the you guys got to
Yeah, I think
go
she's
see
the
the
end
trailer
of the
on YouTube.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure Seven's in
There's
it,
even a trailer.
and I'm pretty sure that that date is in it, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
It's Amazon
it's gonna be
show,
good.
but yeah, Amazon. Oh, cool. Well, yeah, I'll have to go check that out because I just remember hearing that I saw some thing online and it was where Patrick Stewart was up on I think it was like a Comic-Con or some kind of con, and he announced that he was going to be back as Picard and everyone was freaking out. I was like, what? I mean,
And the best thing
I'm not a
is,
giant Trekkie, but I do
it's
like
a
the show.
sequel show to Next Generation, so it's set after Next Generation, so they don't have to explain why everything looks wrong like they do with STD, which I still have not watched and will not watch on general principle.
STD.
STD, that's the name of the show.
Well, you don't want to talk about
Star
it too
Trek
much.
Discovery.
Discovery, yes, STD, and that's how it makes you feel when you watch it, like you have one.
I haven't watched
You're
that
scratching
one.
yourself
And,
in places that you shouldn't.
Like it burns to pee.
Yes,
anyway,
it burns
sorry,
when you pee when you watch
I threw
STD.
that on a tangent because you mentioned Star Trek and then someone else mentioned Picard in chat. Like, anyway, back to the topics.
Back to
CSM.
Eve. So, CSM Summit. I mean, obviously, we don't know what happened. We don't know what they were talking about. I mean, I have a lot of offline conversations with a lot of people, but after what happened to me, everybody's pretty tight-lipped about what's going on around the table, so they're not telling anybody anything that's insider information. Most of what we see is gleaned from Twitter and public stuff that people have put out.
Well, and
we have no idea what they talked about at the summit.
Yeah, Dunk was putting out some. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was saying Dunk was putting some stuff out on Twitter, like, "Hey, we talked." He was just saying like these are the topics we talked about. Obviously not. I did like the one where he's like, I'm trying to think of a way to summarize what happened without actually like breaking any NDA, and then instantly Dope means like, let's talk about this next week. He's like, don't you dare say anything.
Honestly,
don't you brisk on us, you motherfucker.
But what I hope that he does, what I hope Dunk does, is what I did. I wrote a post that ended up going on INN after the first session of last summit, and I cleared it with Guard before we put it out, so it was okay. He looked at it, said, "Yeah, this is fine." So we put it out, no problems, no issues. So as long as they get written permission, they can share whatever they want, as long as one of the guys says it's okay. So if Dunk wants to write an article talking about stuff before the minutes come out, it's good to go.
Yeah,
and Spider, I was talking to Spider on Twitter, and he also said that he was feeling much better this time. He was sick as a dog last summit, so he said the minutes are much tighter this time, and hopefully they'll get them out sooner, and that'll be great for everybody because I think we all want to see what happened.
Yeah, and Dunk's a smart enough guy. He's not gonna break NDA, so I think if he was like questioning like, oh, I want to say this, but if he wasn't sure, I'm sure he would just talk to CCP like, this is what I'm thinking about saying. Is that okay?
Dunk says Omeka said his truth, so that's wonderful.
Well, that brings up a good point. I mean, Omeka sent a 3 or 4 part tweet about the experience over there, and they're not conspiring, they're not doing all this, or not trying to manipulate.
Before Omeka flips the goons.
There you go.
Well,
look.
See, here's the thing. It is one of those things. Isn't the true art of manipulation when the person thinks that they're not being manipulated?
There you go.
I think that's the idea.
Look, here's the thing. This is what drives me crazy, and I've had at least a dozen conversations with Omeka about this. Whether he remembers them or not, I don't know, because he seems to think I said something to him that I didn't say, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But the one thing that always drove me crazy was there's this belief out there in Reddit land or Eve land, and on the forums or anywhere, that the folks that get elected to the CSM, they only care about their own group's interests. They don't care about the game. They just care about making sure that, if you're a goon, that you can keep doing whatever you want. If you're test, you do this. If you're a wormhole guy, you do this. And that nobody cares about the main game. And if you don't have somebody on there representing your interests, you got nobody talking about the stuff that you care about, which is grade A, prime bullshit. It has always been bullshit. It is simply not true. The folks that are on the CSM, they care about the game. They invest tons of time, tons of money into playing this stupid game. So they're not going to sit there and say, well, I think we should do this because it'll help my team, and then screw the whole game over in the meantime. And it was the goons who were the ones that are out there saying, and these guys have said this publicly. It wasn't my CSM, so don't ban me. that they said, look, don't do this with the rorquals. That here's what we're gonna do if you do the rorqual thing. We're gonna turn these into locust fleets and go over all of this and everything. And they did it anyway. And what happened? They did exactly what they said they were gonna do. So for the most part, the CSM members, all the ones that I worked with the last time, and I suspect these guys, the current guys, a lot of whom I worked with, and folks in the past, they want what's in the best interest of the game. So Omeka comes in with this attitude of like, well, I'm going to see if these guys are really just doing stuff for themselves or whatever. And it's like, come on, dude.
That's your Omeka.
And the good thing is, I laughed with him. I said, well, I'm glad you finally listened to what I fucking told you 2 years ago. So at least he learned that much out of the summit, if anything else. But the one thing he drove me crazy on is that he got it in his head that I had told him that the only way for the CSM to be successful is if he was able to convince all of the other members that his top issues were the top issues for the game and his solutions were the right solutions. So he spent like the last 3 or 4 months bitching and moaning at the other CSM members, trying to get them on his side. When what I told him was, you need consensus about 3 issues or so that everybody around the table thinks are a problem. You bring them up to CCP and you say, these are the things that you need to fix now. That's what I told him about. And we got into this long debate on Twitter today about it. And it's like, dude, you don't need to come to these guys with solutions. They've heard all the solutions before. You tell them the problems, you tell them why they're problems and what the impact is, and you let CCP decide if they want to fix them or not. And in my experience, if you have consensus about what those top issues are, you got a better chance of getting them done. Stuff we said last time in our summit, which was in the minutes, was making sure the devs play the game, not an issue anymore. Getting the War Deck stuff fixed. And then we talked about shipping capital balance, and we had a ton of shipping capital balance changes over the last year. So,
and then chaos.
What can I say? My way worked, and I have evidence that it worked. We'll see if his way worked. I don't know. He seems to think, you can go to the table and debate things, and that's going to make it possible to make a better product. And that's never been my experience.
Well, and co-confused dev blogs, and yeah.
Right.
Totally not biased.
Kofi Fade treat.
Look, what I have found, at least, I always went into this job like it was my day job. I'm a lobbyist. I'm representing all of these players to the company. They're the government. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you what I think the issues are, and then you guys decide what you want to fix, and I'll tell you if those ideas work or not. But it's like, it drives me absolutely crazy when I sit there, because I know exactly what would happen when we go up on Capitol Hill and we sit down and we talk to, staff on the Armed Services Committee or staff on the Commerce Committee or whatever. And we say, here is the problem and here is what we think you can do about it. And they always ask, are you guys all together? And if we're not, nothing will happen. Because I guarantee you, the easiest thing that for any of these guys to do is say, well, you guys aren't unified. There's a lot of different opinions. This is controversial, so we're not going to do anything about it. Figure it out amongst yourselves and then come back to us in a year. That's the easiest thing to do.
We'll set up a committee and we'll look at it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Open up the committee. Open up the GSM about it.
So that's why I told him about the consensus, because I thought, and my biggest fear, and I think a lot of our fears, those of us who were a little bit nervous about the fact that he was on the CSM, was that he was going to go in, be a bomb thrower, not be willing to talk to any of the nullsec empire builder CSM members, and that he was going to throw bombs and everything. And obviously he didn't do that, and he changed his opinion. And that's what happens when you go drinking with these guys, that you realize, hey, Aerith is not a crazy, scary person. He's actually a nice human being. I say nice loosely. And Merc is great. And Merc can charm anybody, and he's Goon's best weapon. And Nom will hang out and drink and have a good time and talk for all night long. And so those guys are very sociable guys, and they hang out and they have a good time and they talk. Aerith less than the other two, but still, he's still a good guy. So you sick him on those guys, and then you realize, oh wait, these guys aren't the evil caricatures that I've had in my head for these guys for the last 4 years. So this isn't that bad. Which we all told him that. So I'm waiting to see. I want to hear from Dunk, hopefully next week, what he thought about it, how it went. And I want to hear from Zuki and some of the other new guys. And then I also want to hear from Merc and the gang too. Because this is their second time, or at least Eris is like his 37th time, Steve's 37th time. So I'd like to hear from them what they thought about it compared to past ones, if they're willing to share that, if they can share that, because I think that will be telling. But I think this summit going in, much different attitude than we had last time, right? I mean, I feel like we're just like a slightly away from pitchforks, right? I like your cat sharking it in front of your camera.
Yeah.
Are you saying that we're away from the pitchforks in this session compared to when you went?
No, I'm thinking we're like two. I mean, I think we're just like this close to like Hong Kong riot stuff going on.
Right. Okay,
we're one more chaos change.
I was like, wait, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you went to CSM, there was gripes that people had, but there was things that you guys.
There was nothing crazy.
But this CSM is like all this chaos. The chaos campaign has been going on. So you've had like the Drifter thing that pissed off all the Imperium because they had to pull out their invasion early, and then it was also pissing everyone off across New Eden. Then you had the Blackout. You had the Blackout was mixed. I think a mixed bag. A lot of people liked it. A lot of people hated it. The chat's been wonky. And what was the other thing? There's the Sino change that was announced before they came up to the sun. So there's like a bunch of upset, like you said, pitchfork and torch waving. So
I would like to apologize if I keep saying I like a lot. I'm trying to fill in for Dirk, who says like a lot, and he's not here, so I'm trying to help. I'm trying to be Dirk for you guys.
Like,
Briss,
will you just
I thought
stop?
It was Rain and I that usually say it a lot.
Yeah, it's both you guys. You do it a lot.
I know I say it a lot, and once I get once I notice it, then I try to not say it, and then I realize how often I say it because I'm like, oh, I'm catching myself, and I'm like, shit, I'm catching myself every minute trying to say like. But
not good.
I do say a lot of that's very true. I say a lot of
Now, if you've been on Twitter, there were a lot of pictures that were tweeted out from the summit. A couple of shots of the guys around the table and some of the guys out drinking. Drayden, do you have the photo? My favorite photo. Do you have that ready to go?
I have it saved. Give me 5 seconds and I'll have it ready.
Give us some clues of what this photo is.
So this is my absolute favorite photo. If you guys have not met CCP Cognac, let me describe him, and you'll see the picture, but it doesn't do justice to him in real life. He is the biggest man I have ever seen. He looks like me and Drayden combined. Okay? Like literally, like not like we're both. Drayden's like 6'6". I'm like 6'4". I'm much wider than him. Cognac is massive. He's like a bear. When you hear people say he's like a bear of a man, that's Cognac.
He looks a lot like my friend Mike.
I love this picture because Merc is like the cat that Cognac's hugging like, I love you, guy, and the cat's not really sure if he likes it or not, but he's not going to say anything because the thing hugging him is so much bigger. It's like, I mean, I can do it right now.
Like Lenny with the rabbits.
Thanks, Eve Clavis, for the 8 months.
Clavis.
Yeah. And the kid.
Not sure if I like it. So anyway, that was Cognac and CCP Rides are very close. They hang out all the time. So that was my absolute favorite picture of the summit because that reminds me of so many nights that we spent in Iceland last year.
Hugging each other.
No, just getting drunk talking to these guys because Cognac came out every night. He was a baller. He came out and Rives would come out and hang out with us and we had a good time. So it was always fun to have him when he was out there. So I'm looking forward. Hopefully I get to see him either in Vegas or London. But that was pretty cool. So that was my favorite photo of Merc and Cognac at the summit.
I'm bringing in Dirk Statiel. We're short of Dirk tonight, so we'll bring in another Dirk.
All right, we got Sober Dirk. Sober Dirk is in the house.
Well, hey.
So what did you think about the summit stuff, since we're still talking about that?
The summit stuff was actually really, really interesting. You've got Dunk basically saying that it was a really tough summit. Then you've got Olmeca going, hey, this summit was really good. I don't believe that CCP are intending to kill the game. But equally, the null set guys aren't metagaming CCPN anyway. And
Low.
reading between the lines, you've got to see there that, it being a really tough summit. I mean, I accept that Dunk and Olmec are both first-term CSMs, but you've really got to wonder whether or not they're looking at the summit as going, CCP aren't intentionally killing the game, but are CCP listening? And that's really the kind of question that I've got going on there.
I mean, I'll be honest. I think if I had decided to run again and got reelected, and that was by no means assured because this was a very tough crew, very tough election. A lot of good people, a lot of good block candidates with a lot of votes behind them. I don't know if I would have won. Well, I appreciate that. But assuming that I had run and won, I would have taken a much tougher tone on CCP this time than I did the last time. Nothing to do with me getting banned. Just the way that the game is going right now, it scares the shit out of me.
But you've got to think that there were 6 re-elected CSMs this time round. You've got to think that at least 3 or 4 of those would be taking that kind of tougher tone because they're seeing the impacts of the game on the game of the
I expect
actions
they would.
going on.
And the thing is, like, God damn it, I'm saying now. God, when people point out that I say shit. There's
verbal crutches.
I know. God, fuck. I can give up. It's worse. It's worse than like.
There are words there somewhere, Drayden. Come on, get them out.
I just need to eliminate that from my vocabulary.
We had a long talk about Idaho's failing public school system.
We did, yeah. We're like, what,
46th,
45th in education. Prime example right here.
All right, so Jess Rock says it doesn't seem like SWG all over again. That's what is scary because it doesn't.
It does.
It hasn't got to that point yet, but I can see it getting close. And I mean, Hyper, you think it does?
I'm feeling it feels like Star Wars Galaxy all over again.
See, I feel like it would feel like Star Wars Galaxies all over again if they were gonna like massively. Sorry, I keep saying like Thanks, Honey, for pointing that out. If they were going to
crutches too.
I know, right? Well, hey, even professionals have verbal crutches.
We should just
Mine is usually at the end of the day is my main verbal crutch, but we'll get into that later.
Until the wife points it out, right?
Until she points it out, and now I have to stop doing it. I thought, in the event that they decide to go down the road of changing out combat, making it easier or simpler or whatever, so that they can keep new players longer than 7 days in the beginning, then I will think they'll have pulled a pure SWG, and I will be perfectly happy walking away from this game.
Would you like to hear one of the things they put in the? I don't know if it was the patch notes or the release notes. Like there's some discrepancies between the patch notes and the release notes anyway for this like September release. But
okay,
there was one point where they said that they were pulling out thermodynamics from new players because they didn't want to have that complexity in the game. And that's fair. But then there was also a point where they said that they were removing the ability to auto-repeat on data and relic analyzers. Because in the vast majority of situations, people don't need to auto-repeat them. And I'm like, okay.
It's not hurtful to let them auto-repeat, though.
That's fair, but exactly. It's not hurtful to let them auto-repeat. All it hurts is my cap life. It doesn't take that much cap, that detriments me and doesn't detriment anyone else. And so why shouldn't I be able to auto-repeat that mod? And if that hurts me in a fight that I get because I'm hacking something, that's on me. That's my mistake. It's not that they're taking things away massively or making things so much easier, but they're slowly eating into that sandbox.
I understand your point. I understand your point completely. One of the things that drives me crazy is I don't feel like it's necessary to stop people from doing stupid things that don't benefit them. Sometimes you do stupid things and it don't benefit you, and you learn a lesson from it, like leaving your your MWD on more than you needed to, and jumping through the wormhole and then having it close on you when you're not, when you can't get back.
Launching a bomb with an MWD on and not stopping.
Right, launching the bomb by accident. I mean, it reminds me of the arguments that I see all of the time from millennials and Zoomers about, baseball. Why do we have umpires calling balls and strikes? They don't get it right. Why don't we just use like lasers? I said like again, motherfucker. Why don't we use lasers and then we'll know exactly if it's a ball or if it's a strike? And old people like me have to say, guys, human error is part of the game. Sometimes the umpire is going to make a bad call. That's part of the game. It's part of the fun of it. There's human error. It's a human endeavor. You can't be perfect. So why fix stuff? Why fix stuff like that?
They don't like technology being shunned for inaccuracy, though. That's the problem.
Well, that's what frustrates me, because you're taking away tradition and you're injecting cold technology into things.
I'm not saying. I mean, I don't care either way.
I don't like
that specific example, but.
But that's what I feel like this is.
The thing there really is like, hey, if you think that the umpire is calling it wrong, you go train to be an umpire and you get up on that seat and you call it differently.
Or your manager puts your hat on.
Great.
Or your manager puts his hat on and goes out there and starts screaming at the guy, and you get a nice little, Earl Weaver situation where, you have a little bit of drama on the field, and the guy gets ejected, and there you go. It makes the game more interesting.
For sure.
It sucks when the call's against you, but sometimes, hey, that's life.
Well, isn't the whole harden the fuck up sort of mentality?
Exactly. That's the thing. This is the game that punishes you for making mistakes. And the side that wins is the side that makes the fewest mistakes. And you know what? If you're a dumbass and you warp your fleet to Pando Stuka fleet at 30, you're gonna die. If you warp it at 130, you're gonna die. It's stuff like that part of the game. It makes it interesting that I hate when they take that stuff away just because someone could leave this on. There's no reason to do that.
This was exactly my point. Like the thermodynamics thing. Hey, new players get caught up on thermodynamics all the time. They accidentally right-click and go to reload, and instead they overheat their fucking module and burn out their guns. That happens. But, and I can see why CCP would want to take that away from new players until they want to train that skill. That's fair. But then the module auto-repeat? That's the thing. Industrial Sino, the industrial Sino is just a weird fucking.
I get the. Well, no, I'll tell you, the industrial Sino thing makes perfect sense. The reason why they did the industrial Sino is, and if you watch the TIS interview that I did with Matterall and Carneros with Rise.
With Rise, yeah, I have listened to that multiple times.
Right. So the whole reason for the industrial Sino thing is just so that there's a cheap throwaway memorial Sino. He talked about that as being the idea. So that's why they do that.
Here's the other thing, Brisk, right? All they needed to do to address the memorial Sino was create a memorial Sino that could be fitted to any ship. Nobody could jump to it. They've already got Sinos that
they could do that, but that was not the decision that they made because people wanted Sinos.
And that's fine.
And that's it.
What I'm saying
there's different ways to split the baby.
That there are very different ways to split that, but when they made the decision for the industrial Sino as a result of the memorial Sino, all they had to do was say that no ships could jump to it, and it was a memorial Sino that was on the map. Would still have had the jump freighters could jump to covert Sinos. You would still have had the gameplay possibilities of sneaking structures behind enemy lines using covert Sinos and jump freighters.
Right.
Would still have had the ability to replenish SIGs and squads that are behind enemy lines that more ammo or more modules or more fuel or whatever the fuck it is.
I understand what you're saying.
That gameplay aspect.
I understand. I agree that they could have done it a different way. But from the conversation that I had with Rise, it sounded to me like they didn't want to spend the time to code a new module that did nothing.
They already had the new module. They created a new module. It's called the Industrial fucking Sino, Brisk.
But the point is, it does something. It's not. They would have had. They would have had to have done that Sino plus the covert Sinos letting jump freighters jump to them, and then create this new thing. So they want to create something new thing that actually has some value.
They had to create a module that did
alternatively, they
something.
could have just changed the Sino to make it work for only certain ships in fleet.
Alternatively, they could have not done the stupid Sino changes at all because they're fucking bullshit, and then we wouldn't be talking about this at all.
Yeah.
But hey,
my point is that that they're already doing stuff. They're already creating these new modules. Why do these modules have to do something when all they have to address is a beacon in space that everyone?
It was my understanding from my conversation
wanted-
with Rise was that they wanted something that did something.
Yeah.
That it would not be the same, or that people had requested that it be something that's useful, not just like. I said like
they
again.
thought
Fuck.
if it was a memorial
Not
sign
just
on,
like-
that's all
not
it
just
was,
a-
just to make a light, that it wouldn't have the same sentiment.
Not just like not like a freaking
because it'd be like a
fireworks launcher or whatever.
Yeah,
it
it'd be
is.
like a fireworks
Exactly.
launcher.
Exactly.
We
That's
wanted
what I was
to
trying to get at.
actually do something in game so it actually has a meaning when people light these things. That was their reasoning. But I know
This is
Parallax
all in the
chat,
September
just in
release.
case other
They have
people
not.
don't know, the industrial Sino is new, and it's gonna only be able to be fit to industrial ships, which includes like blockade runners and stuff. And jump freighters and Black Ops battleships will be able to jump at this
I mean,
thing.
that's
That
the
was
other
a decision that I don't understand. Why Black Ops battleships? Like the jump freighters, okay, the jump freighters made sense. You want a cheap ship that you can like do logistics runs with if you don't want
Guys,
to use the
think about it.
But why Black
No,
Ops battleships?
Guys, think about it. Come on.
Because you can fit a regular Sino to a Black Ops battleship.
Yeah, you know
jump
what
your
this
Black
Guys,
Ops battleship into
what is the
Silver
one
Sino
thing?
or
What is the
industrial
one
Sino?
thing that making this change to putting them on recon ships completely destroys?
Capital fights.
Bait Sinos. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So
It
with
does-
industrial ships, now you have the chance. You have an industrial Sino goes up. Well, what's coming through? Is it a jump freighter or no? It's a Black Ops battleship fleet. So there's still a possibility of doing bait Sinos, which you couldn't have done if they had done it the old system. The bait Sino would have gone away. Anytime you see a recon, you know there's a Sino on.
Here's
Well,
how it's
that
gonna
makes
work
sense
out,
to me.
though, Brisk. You're gonna end up with a bunch of people in rock walls out mining. Then you're gonna have a random T1 industrial that's got its industrial Sino on it, and the industrial is gonna light its Sino. The Rorqual's gonna light its panic module, and so the industrial is completely fucking impervious for the next 4 minutes, 5 minutes, I forget how long it actually is. And then the Black Ops is gonna jump through, it's gonna light a Sino, and now we have an entire super capital umbrella again. And it's a stopgap, it's a band-aid fix. It's a band-aid fix to the fact that the entire just economy of nullsec is dropping like a fucking rock.
Well, we'll get there. You're jumping ahead on our show notes, Dirk.
Well, I don't have your show notes. I'm
I know.
just
We'll get
coming
there.
in to talk
We will
about
get
this
there.
and
We
rant
will get
about
there.
this because
We're going to talk about that.
I've done words on this.
Now, let me ask you this. Just clarify for me. Do industrial ships benefit from the panic module as well, or is
Yes.
it just mining barges?
No, industrial ships are beneficial. They do benefit from the panic module. If you
Okay,
have
I didn't know that. That's
if
interesting.
you have an Nereus that is in range of a panic module that's activated, it will be impervious for however long the panic goes.
Interesting. That's interesting.
So if the sign is up, people can come through to it.
All right. We're going to talk about the rest of the September release in a little bit. We're going to talk about the August MER, which obviously Dirk wants to talk about. Before we talk about those things, I want to bring up one thing. Have any of you guys in the chat, have any of you guys on the show gotten an alpha invite to the Eve Echoes?
No, I didn't even sign
No.
up for it. So
I didn't sign up.
yeah, so
Okay.
I haven't gotten anything for
And if I
Eve
try to
Echoes,
sign
but
now,
I'm a
I'm
beta
sure-
tester for the new app, though.
yeah, I'm sure if I
So-
tried to sign up now, I'd be so far back in the queue that I wouldn't even get into the
app is the app. The app is fine. They just did a second round of Eve Echoes alpha stuff, and I was in there, and I logged in. I gotta say, I gotta give these guys a lot of credit. Netties and these guys, the game feels like Eve. It looks like Eve.
I've
know,
heard it's better in some areas.
It's
like,
just really, really good, and I'm
here's a-
kind of
here's a-
scared how
How's
good
it
it is.
UI wise? Like, is the UI pretty similar?
The UI makes sense. The UI makes sense. And granted, you don't have overviews and stuff like that, but it has on the screen a button you can press and it'll pull up all of the different things that you can look at, things you can target, jump gates, and the rest. And it dumped me into a random system that was one system out from Kakakella, which is where my little secret hidey hole HiSec Care Bear Astra House is located. So I knew how to get from there to Jita. And I was playing it on the subway going to my office yesterday morning.
It's the entire New Eden cluster, like system.
It was like, I mean, I went from Kakakella to Sobieski to Jita and right in a way, and it was the exact way that I do multiple times a day when I'm running missions in HiSec.
Do they have stuff like you can bring up the map and see where you're trying to go, or because if you don't
I didn't look at that.
that would be difficult.
I didn't look at the map, but the jump gates looked the same. My IBIS looked perfect. You know, you're going in, and I docked at Jita 44, and it looks like Jita 44. I mean, I was very surprised that it looked as good as it did, and that it played as good as it did on my giant iPad. I was very impressed.
Here's a thing that I've heard.
I don't know if it has. I don't know if it has the silo changes. By the way, Dark Shine. Sorry.
I do want to say that I've heard about this Eve Echoes thing, and I've heard that there is one thing more than anything else that is far superior than actual Eve Online, and that's PI. Apparently, you can pick a planet and basically decide what you want to mine on that planet, and away it goes.
That's awesome.
Like, it's not the 80-odd clicks that you've got to do for PI in desktop-based EVE Online, and that's really cool. You know, CCP, or some aspect of CCP, has actually finally realized that repetitive strain injury for a part of your game is not a good thing. And
so is this
they've put it into the mobile, and it's cool, but I won't play EVE on a mobile game unless I can engage in the meta play that I've got.
I'm wondering though if it's similar to regular EVE and it's just as good, and more people get into it, and people are like, oh, I can get a fresh start in this new, almost like a reboot of the EVE universe instead of coming in when everything's already established and the markets are there. I don't know. Maybe that might be an incentive for a lot of EVE players just to get in on the new shit, and like they know what to do, so they might be able to build a quick empire up fast and be the dominant group.
To that point, I was talking to a buddy of mine who was one of the guys that got me back into the game a couple of years ago when I had quit for a while, and he has since quit. He had a son, and he's been taking care of his kid, and doesn't have time to play games, but he has time to be on his phone, and he can do it while he's in the gym, or he can do it when he's out working. And he was all excited, and he said one of the biggest issues I had with EVE was I felt like I could never be anybody because I got such a late start compared to other people. But now we can start out from the beginning, and not only can I start out from the beginning with a fresh start, I've also got an edge up on some of these people because I know EVE Online, and the game works very similar to the way that it does on TQ. So I can start out, grab a couple guys, and we could power level and get going, and obviously not power leveling, but you know what I mean. They can start the game with an advantage because they know how to play EVE, and he was all excited about it. I said, "Well, you're gonna have to go buy 5 iPads so you can multi-box your VNIs or Rorquals or whatever you want." But I mean, I think that there is going to be a very big market for EVE players who want to try something new in a new universe that doesn't have the stuff that we have.
I want to touch real quick, Drayden, on something that Brisk just said, which is, you'll have to go and buy 5 iPads to multi-box Rorquals or whatever, and I'm not saying that anybody will do that, right? But
some will. But...
On my phone, I can manage to dual box apps, right? I could play, I could have Discord running while I've got YouTube going on, right? On my PC, I can have TeamSpeak up, I can have Discord up, I can have Jabber and Twitch up. I can be playing a game while I'm doing all of these other things. I can't do that on my phone.
Right.
I play the meta game of EVE. Everyone who plays the meta game of EVE plays it outside of the client.
Well,
the mobile game is inherently restrictive from that aspect, and I wonder what you all felt about that.
Yeah, because it's interesting because obviously EVE Echoes is generally gonna not be a game of alts then, so that, I mean, if the vast majority of people didn't play with alts in EVE, it would be a totally different gameplay experience. So that is gonna instantly there. Even if the game on the it's not gonna be the exact same game, but even if it was the exact same game, it would be different gameplay because of that aspect alone.
It goes further, Drayden, because if you think about it, when you go on a fleet, are you listening to in-game's comm channels?
Yeah.
You're listening to in-game comms channels.
Right. How are you gonna do that? Unless they add some kind of voice. I would hope they would, because voice communication is such an integral part of EVE. I would hope they would have something inherent in the client that you could maybe put some earbuds in or something, and it'll use your phone's mic to where you can actually, be in a voice communication. Now that might be a little interesting. Like Brisk, he's sitting on the subway. I guess people just think he's on a phone call, but when it's like, shoot this guy, get him.
I mean, that's something that I think they're going to have to figure out. That was one thing I couldn't figure out was how to talk to people, because I wanted to say hi to everybody in local, but I couldn't figure out how to do that.
It's going to be a big thing.
I didn't really try.
A community thing rather than a gameplay experience.
But I mean, the bottom line is, I'm really excited about this. I think it's going to be pretty cool.
So is this the first actual potentially good LP that they've put out?
Dude, I will tell you flat out, I have never seen a game. Well, I can't say that, because there was a port of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic that they did from PC to iPad that I played that was literally just like the game. It was really good.
I'm going to have to go look that up.
It's really good. And I remember I've been on the subway, people were like, what are you playing? And I said, I'm playing Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. That old PC game? Yeah. This is so cool. I'm like, yeah, watch. But it looks like Eve. It feels like Eve. I'm very pleased with it, and I think a lot of people are going to be very excited when they finally get a chance to play this
Parallax is bringing up a thing. I'm not so tech savvy to be able to do like port overs and stuff like that. I mean, this isn't going to be a port, but he's talking about a thing called Nox and APK, something that basically I'm assuming allows you to play mobile stuff on your PC, because it'll make your PC pretend it's a mobile. Is my best guess on that. So if it does end up being workable with that, then people might just end up multi-boxing and playing with a bunch of alts.
I want to address something something that Parallax said later on, which was that Dust 514 was the best game that CCP have put out, and actually, I'm with him on that. Really, if CCP had put Dust 514 out on the PC, a lot of Eve players would have been into that at the time. I would have loved it. I did love Dust 514, but I wasn't a diehard player. I was in Eve.
Super early when it was, but I do agree that I think their big mistake with that was making it a PlayStation game instead of a PC.
PlayStation only.
And that was the problem with us. If it hadn't been exclusive to PlayStation 2, I think it would have taken off more. Was it 2 or 3?
It was
PlayStation 3.
It was 3? Okay.
But it was at the end of the 3's life, so the 4 was
no. It was kind of. It was like it came out 18 months before PS3 died, but it was PS3 absolutely.
Yeah, but like LB was saying, like PS3 was pretty much like PS4 was about to come out soon at that point, so the fact that they designed it for a platform that was going to be not obsolete, but pretty much not. They should have designed it for PS4 if they were going to do PlayStation at all, but...
I had a bit of a conversation earlier on tonight, actually, about how CCP just kind of fails to grab anything that has any sort of profitability margin, and by the time they do grab it, it's already gone.
Well, now, I disagree with that, because they jumped on to Oculus Rift before almost anybody was out there, and put out Valkyrie,
and they made basically no money off it.
They did. Valkyrie broke even at the bare minimum. I think they made some money off of it, if I recall correctly. I thought Valkyrie was great. I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was fun. It's the only game that I really still play on the Rift. I guess whatever.
I didn't play it in VR. I played it once they came out with a non-VR version of it, then I bought it.
Yeah,
the VR version was great, and it was fun. But it wasn't. My biggest issue with Eve Valkyrie was it wasn't enough Eve, but it was good and it was a fun game and I enjoyed it. And they made money. They did make money off of that, even though they didn't keep it going, or they're still keeping it going, but they're not doing new development for it because the market's not there for VR. And
here's a fun fact for you, Brisk. Both Valkyrie and Spark got CCP supported tournaments this year.
Right?
Yeah.
Compared to the AT. No AT.
Right, let's talk about how the VR teams get more support for tournaments than their actual main IP. Like
I am confident that the AT will be back next year.
Well, isn't the AT now? Is the AT gone because they don't want to put the resources in, or is the AT gone because it wasn't like their tool system?
The AT is quote unquote postponed. However, anybody who is engaged in any of the CCP supported tournaments, like for example the Streamfleet Invitational 2 that happened in around March this year, everyone that has been involved in any of that knows that the actual tools that they have for the Thunderdome tournament practice server or whatever are just fucked. Those tools are dead. They're not coming back. That's why tournaments are dead at the moment. So basically, yeah, the AT might come back, but nobody who has ever been involved in tournaments before is encouraged at the moment that it's coming back. And you know, we're about, well, if we take into account the fact that they posted the postponement announcement in January, we're about 4 or 5 months away from them announcing whether or not they will have an AT. But realistically, if they internally aren't planning for an AT already, then it's not happening.
All right. Sure what I would like to say, I would like to say right now, I would like to give a big FU to Dirk Steele for bringing up the AT when Rain is not here. We thought she was not here, so we didn't have to talk about the AT. But you're bringing it up.
Hey,
thank you.
I'm just talking about shit that CCP aren't doing.
Oh God,
Chaos Whale.
It's bad enough when Rain is here and wants to talk about it, and now you're here and you're talking about it when she's not even on.
Yeah, you know what, Brisk? Let's talk about the article that I posted earlier this week, where I asked about where CCP Mambion
fucking
is.
whale noises. You sons of bitches.
Who's CCP Mambion? Come on.
What? Where? What? What? I didn't hear. I didn't read your article. What did you ask?
Where's CCP Mambion? Who is CCP Mambion? Like, he's not
like
doing anything.
Director. He's hanging out. Burger and Orca and Manbjorn are the trifecta. They are the top guys. They are basically the ones that replace Seagull. So they're all doing stuff.
I'm not seeing Orca. I'm not seeing Manbjorn.
They're not the front. They're not the face. They're not the face person. They put Burger up as the face person.
Yeah.
So
okay. So we've
I still
got
think of him as Triglavian dude or whatever.
So the storyline guy, the creative guy, is their voice. You know. We're not seeing any vision from the executive producer who's job.
Well, you don't need the vision from the executive producer because it's coming from the CEO. Wait, you want to bitch about that? At least say, look, Helmar's been like 10,000 times more visible in the last 6 months than he has been for like the last couple of years.
Yeah, exactly. Look how great that's turned out.
But the executive producer's job is to focus on EVE Online as a whole. It's to focus on EVE Online. It's not to focus on Valkyrie or Spark or Hardian or whatever else that the company is trying to do. The executive producer's job is to focus on the IP. And where's the vision from the person who's supposed to be focusing on the IP?
I think we're seeing it. Obviously, he's brought into the chaos thing too, because I don't see anybody stopping it. That's as far as I can tell. But look, I'm not going to sit here and defend. I do not want to.
Talking about the chaos thing.
I do not want to sit here. I am not going to sit here and defend CCP. They can do that for themselves. But
well, yeah.
No, they can't. They're not saying anything.
They don't have to.
Cocaine fueled Viking.
They're killing their game, Brisk. They have to say something at some point.
They don't think they're killing the game. But look, I'm not going to argue with you because I honestly, when I look at the numbers, when I see concurrent user numbers on Sundays that are less than 30,000, when I have spent the last week leveling a WoW and not playing EVE very much, that worries me. And frankly, when I read articles, and I guess we can skip to the grief counselors thing because that's funny. When I read articles of PC Gamer,
the best part about that is that they've been doing the meet and greet idea for longer than I've been playing EVE, and I've been playing EVE for like half a decade at this point.
Before we do the grief thing, when I was stuck with the thing and I was roadblocked, what I was trying to say is there's all this negative feedback from the general community, and it's not just like a few, loud naysayers that are, it's not the vocal minority over the silent majority. It seems like it's a really, I won't even say the majority, but like a large portion of the player base is upset with these changes, and it just feels like CCP is not listening.
I feel like the player base that you're associated with is upset with the changes, and that's why you're upset with the changes.
Maybe I'm in an echo chamber.
You're in the echo chamber. It's like Facebook, right? You only listen to the people that you're around.
Facebook.
Right, and I mean, LB can say that. LB can say that because there's been no chaos in wormholes yet, so he hasn't felt the chaos.
Yet.
We have no issues. So when the issues come and we don't like it, I'll let you know. But right now,
here's a fact about like the monthly economic report this month, like the August monthly economic report. Of the top 10 regions for mining amount, only 3 of them were in nullsec.
Correct.
Right. So.
And everyone is down either way, you know.
But
like
look, that is according to CCP. And look, I am not defending them. I am simply expressing their opinion so that we can have a conversation.
What you're about to say.
But the point is, this is what they wanted to do.
They wanted Null to be self-sufficient.
The fact that not even that they wanted Null to be self-sufficient or anything like that. What they wanted was turn the IS faucet off, turn the resources faucet off, find ways to reduce the amount of resources entering the game, find ways to reduce the amount of money entering the game.
I mean,
Blackout help with that.
I really do. I get that.
And so if you look, it's working. I mean, if you look at the production amounts, it's like a cliff. You look at the ratting numbers, just in general, it's like this.
Everything is dropping off a cliff, but
off a cliff, and that's what they wanted. That is what they wanted.
That's what they wanted. But what they wanted is all well and good. But what we're looking at is these numbers are representative of the amount of people out in space, right? Yeah. If the amount of shit mined is dropping, surely there are far less people in space mining. That's I mean, if you look at, frankly, from what I saw, and I guess fuck it, let's just talk about the August MER if you want. If you want to pull, you got to pull up any of the pictures, you can do that, Drayden, if you want.
Wait, what pictures?
From the MER, it's in the B block.
I didn't save any of these. There's not too many pictures.
Don't worry about it.
Hold on. What I can do, I can get a window capture of my browser and just scroll it that way.
But if you look at it, I mean, just the production versus destruction index is like this. I mean, obviously, everything's been going down, but that's
and destruction is down as well. Like, it's not as if they're getting more people dying. It's just everything is going down.
Right, and if you look at the key areas, you're exactly right. Of the top mining regions, 3 of them are in nullsec, the rest are highsec. That's because it seems to me like all of the botting has moved from nullsec to highsec because they can still do it in highsec.
I mean, fair enough.
It's not as much of a thing. But in the end, I've seen a lot of nullsec players that have said, all right, I can't super rat anymore. I don't trust the Rockwall mining anymore. So I'm just going to go and grab a procurer and hang out in highsec because it's safer. So I think a lot of that is people moving what they're doing. But at the same time, yes, it's absolutely concurrent users is down. Nobody can argue that they're not. And that's just a question of...
My point is less about concurrent users and more about just generally, if there are less people mining, if there is less amount mined, there are less people mining because... every person can mine a certain amount. And so we end up talking about how if there's less amount mined, there are less people out in fucking space. And if there's less people out in space, there's less...
There's less content. I mean, there are fewer targets for the whalers. There's fewer folks out there to shoot at.
There's less everything.
I agree. I'm not arguing. I'm not going to argue with you about that.
The point is that CCP are just driving this game into a fucking death spiral by perpetually bringing in changes that they think are good and by their own standards these games are doing that. These changes are doing what they want.
And you guys in the comments are really mean to Drayden tonight. Be nice to him.
Wait, who's being mean to
He's
me?
a good
Drayden's
boy.
doing really well. Like,
Drayden's
came in here and hijacked.
Be nice to him. He needs positive reinforcement.
Absolutely be nice to Drayden. But
because if we get him too drunk, he's going to lose his shoes again.
These
by the way, shots, hello. This shot goes out to everybody that's dealing with Hurricane Dorian. Stay safe, people.
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck dealing with that.
So, I mean, looking at the MER, obviously the one thing that jumps out at you is Delta's back on top in pretty much every category. except for
That was always
production,
gonna
which is the
happen.
Forge. And it was going to happen. We know it was going to happen. But even then, even Delve's numbers are half of what they were 4 months ago. So CCP is probably looking at this data and saying, "Hey guys, we did what we wanted to do. We nerfed anomalies. We nerfed rock walls. We nerfed excavator size, so you can't fit them all in the W2, and more stuff's dying, and this is great." So that's what worries me is I feel like they're getting the wrong feedback from this data.
The best thing you said there, Brisk, was that Delve's numbers are half of what they were a few months ago. Delve's numbers are 35 to 40% less of what they were in July.
Right.
You know, we're talking about 1 month's difference there.
Right.
And there's somebody in chat here, Fade Eve or whatever, who said that there are fewer people in space, but they're people who literally added no content to the game. They were risk-averse crabs who ran from everything. Game is healthier without them. Like, okay, fair. There are less Rorquals out in space that you can go hunting. There are less supercaps that you can go hunting. But I'm somebody who loves to FC an Eve when I'm playing Eve directly rather than doing my diplomat stuff or whatever else. When I play Eve, I want to be out shooting people. And I do not see a value in Eve to spending my time, 2, 3, 4 hours to plan a fleet, run a fleet, figure all that shit out, and actually have content for the guys who are coming out with me. Where's the benefit here?
That is the biggest issue that I have been trying to ask.
Question.
The one thing that I have asked CCP for and told these guys from the beginning that I thought was a critical thing is there needs to be more conflict drivers and more content creation. There needs to be reasons to fight and friction points for all of these big null groups to go out there and have these big space battles. That's my biggest concern with the Sino changes. And I told Rise this. I'm concerned that we're going to see fewer big fights because they're more and more difficult for the FCs to plan. It's not going to make it impossible. It's just going to make it more of a pain in the ass. And instead of making the game harder, or at least they're simply making it more inconvenient, and that is not fun.
I don't know.
Inconvenience is not fun. Hard is fun. Figuring out something that's hard is fun. Inconvenient is not fun.
Just real quick before you go into it, McLeod has said in chat as well that I'm less likely to catch the botters anyway. Those botters who are staying in nullsec, I can take a fleet out and try and catch them, but
you're never going to catch them.
They've got already, they've got fucking pods sat on Stargates watching people jump into their dead-end systems and stuff. Yeah, I am not going to catch those guys. So we need more people out in space.
That's the thing. You were never going to catch them before. So regardless of whether you're never
unless I had a weird system of like
these guys
or whatever.
Unless you were lucky and caught them at downtime and got a lucky server.
Where were you getting your content
you're never
from
going to
before?
catch these guys.
If you weren't catching them before and you weren't catching them now,
where was I getting my content before? I was getting my content from the guys who were running fleets into Delve, from the fleets who were running into Catch, as I was running a fleet into Catch, from the FCs that I was talking to at that time. And
why has that dried up?
Because we run fleets, right? We run fleets when we're available. We run fleets when we can run fleets. And we take those fleets to wherever we think the content is. You
guys know that Turk is the number one FC in the Imperium? If you didn't know that.
Right. We'll not even address that. But, when FCs are looking for content, they're looking for things like dotland numbers. So
way better than
amount of gate jumps, amount of rats killed. These are the things, these are the markers that people use to figure out where there's activity. Because generally, where there's activity, there's a response. You can go and shoot a Rorqual, and maybe you get a bunch of supers dropped on you. Possibly.
But we've already said that we're not catching those people.
No, right? You catch the Rorquals. You're not catching.
You don't catch the bots. You catch the. People aren't botting in Rorks really. But the point is, I understand your point completely, and that's one of my concerns with the Sino changes. I'm also concerned. I was talking to Omeka, and he was mentioning, we shouldn't be arguing facts or whatever, and I agreed with him.
No, we should all be.
One of the things he said was a fact. One of the things he said was a fact was one of the things he said was a fact was that the current meta is for whaling is command destroyer and bomber fleets together, and that worries me because that's my Stuka fleet. That's what I fly with Pando all the time, and it's some of the only guaranteed content generation we can get. And even then, it's not guaranteed because we go out whaling all the time. We go through drifter wormholes. We move around systems all over the place trying to find where these guys are. And sometimes we get lucky and we catch a bunch, and sometimes we get nothing. And it worries me that that's something that they may potentially nerf because it's one of the only ways for us to go out and get good content right now. And I mean, I'll be bluntly honest. I have not logged in since Saturday to do more than check the market and say hi to people and check my email because there hasn't been a lot going on, and we haven't had a major war. And I every week I say this: we've not had a major war in a year. You know, Test and Fraternity have their low grade skirmishing that they've been doing forever, and the high sec stuff is not really real. And then the NC thing wasn't fair because Drayden never undocked because he's a pussy. So that wasn't even a real war. So what? So at the end of the day, we haven't had a war in a year, and we haven't had. I mean, the biggest Titan battle was this random Test Fraternity thing that blew up in everybody's faces.
The biggest Titan battle was the Snuff Deadco thing.
Right, the Snuff. Yeah, exactly. It was the Snuffed GOTG
it's a low
thing that ended up getting third party.
Possibly the smallest nullsec block around. You know.
Right, and it sucks. And I would like to see another big war, but we don't have reasons to fight, so nobody's fighting. And the biggest problem with chaos, and this is what I keep trying to remind everybody because there's so many parallels to this game to real life. When things are uncertain, folks do not make big decisions like, "Hey, let's deploy and go to war." They're going to say, "Let's wait and figure out what's changing and what the impact is going to be before we go do something." So with the Sino changes coming next Tuesday, the chances of anything happening in the game, at least nullsec empire-wise, which I know Omeka and the rest of these guys hate that. That's why I play. That's why a lot of us play. There's nothing going to happen because nobody's going to know what the game is until we figure it out.
You don't even need to talk about it in terms of why I play or why you play or why Drayden or Hyper plays. You know, we all log in to the game to have fun with this. But I mean, Hyper and I, and you to a certain extent at least, Brisk, I don't know what Drayden does in NC, but we can play the game from Jabber and Discord. We can have those interactions. The thing is that there's no reason to slap dicks on the table, is basically the thing. There's no reason for us to go, "Hey, come at us."
Well,
and that's what's frustrating.
The Sino changes that makes it the whole fun of
it
deploying entire
supercap.
It doesn't make it harder. It makes it inconvenient, and it puts more pressure. It puts more pressure on the FCs to do the stuff that the FCs normally do. And frankly, in my opinion, what CCP and the rest of these guys need to be doing, at least for veteran players, is making it easier to generate this content, not making it harder or more difficult or more ridiculous. And that's what these Sino changes do, which is one of the reasons why I'm concerned about it.
When Hilmar said that it should be harder for veteran players to play than it should be for newer players, does the Sino changes fall in line with that, or is that?
I agree. Look, no, that's the thing. I agree with that 100%. It should be hard, but it is harder. But at the same time, there's a difference between hard and fucking annoying. Yep. And when you think you're making the game harder, when all you're doing is adding an extra layer of bureaucracy, that's not making the game harder. It just makes it more annoying. It makes it more inconvenient. It's an extra level of step. So all these guys had to go buy, skill injectors for their Sino alts so they can fly recon ships instead of just putting them in rookie ships. Okay, fine. It is what it is. It's not going to stop stuff from changing.
It's more the cost. The big groups, they're going to waste some recon ships to light Sinos and they're disposable. Whatever, no one gives a fuck. But some guy in his 3 or 4 man group of dudes that he plays with wants to back to what LB was saying, the smaller individual pilots. They're not going to okay, I'm going to drop on this guy and
that again, and that's
recon to do that. No,
and yet again, then those say, another situation. It's another situation where Malcanus' law is perfectly in space. They do these changes that ostensibly are designed to help the little guy and harm the big guys. And who's getting hurt? the little guy, not the big guys.
The thing is, like, most
the
of the
veteran
changes
players,
that happen, they affect the little guy and the big guy.
Yeah, and
well, that's the thing.
Not in the same ratio, but they affect
the individual
the same
guy.
rate, but
the individual guy out there with a super or something who's not a member of a big block alliance, you just made his life infinitely harder trying to move his shit around.
Right.
You know, that sucks. For me, doesn't matter. I've already got 2 alts trained to recon ships that are Sino alts. I can move my Titans wherever I need
big
to
groups
move.
Have their
and I'll have
and
I'll have a bunch of friends that'll be willing to do that too. So it's not like I can't do that. So you didn't hurt Init, you didn't hurt the Goons, you didn't hurt NC Dot, you didn't hurt PL. Who did you hurt? You hurt Banderlogs. You hurt NHS, NSH. You hurt the small guys that are out there, the French Connection guys that are out there with, scraping by with their smaller groups, trying to move around.
French Connection aren't even scraping by with their Init connections, but like, point is,
I was giving a shout out. I like those guys.
Yeah,
but anyway, the point is,
you wouldn't.
Those are the ones. Those are the ones that are getting screwed, not the big guys. And the big guys, it's just a layer of bureaucracy. For the smaller guys, that's 6 months of training on a character that they didn't have even, subbed. So that's not fun. That's not fun for them. That's not going to help. And it doesn't create content. It's a change designed to shake up the meta to give us in nullsec, something to figure out for a month while they go spend all of their resources, which they arguably are already doing. And I'll point to the PC Gamer article, and we talk about that next. But all their time on new player retention, which is the number one issue that Hilmar is trying to deal with. And if you saw transitioning, PC Gamer article.
Before you transition,
from deploying super capitals.
I don't think it will. I just don't think there's a reason to do it, so nobody's going to do it.
There's no reason to risk your supers on a Sino that, might die. The way things go at the moment is you have Sino that Dreadnought or Fax or Carrier or whatever jumps to, Carrier Sinos, everything else Sinos in on that. And that makes it so much less risky in terms of your super capital fleet jumping in, and then, as it turns out, they appear at the sun, because that's how the game mechanics work when a Sino dies when you're mid-jump. You want to make sure that all of your guys appear where you want your guys to appear. If you can't ensure that, you're not going to jump your guys in.
Right, and that's one of the problems with a lot of these changes, and as I was getting to before, when there's uncertainty about how the mechanics work, that has a stifling effect on fights. And if you saw last year with X47 and ULX, some of these other big fights, the biggest issue that the FCs and everybody had was not that they were fighting outnumbered, or they were fighting on this thing, or going after keep stars or whatever. It was, is the server going to hold up, and can I make sure my guys can get in and out? And especially with UALX, with the server going blotto in the middle of the fight.
That was,
yeah.
We were going to keep going until downtime, and then the server died.
And that was one of the things we brought up last CSM was, guys, we cannot provide you with these big nullsec empire battles that you use in all your press releases that get PC Gamer front cover stories all the time. If the server does not hold up, and we can't have these fights, and we can't be sure that if we jump in all these ships that they're going to be online and we can actually fight them, and that we're not going to have half of them having to die.
Is the issue the sign-on changes, or is the issue that there's no conflict drivers? What's the bigger issue?
That was the issue. That was the issue last year. That was the issue last year. Now, some of that stuff has been fixed. The 64-bit client makes it less likely that you're going to get a memory error and get kicked off. So a lot of that stuff has been fixed, but we haven't had any real big test battles since then because there's been no reason to fight.
Brisk had 4 words when he was talking about that. And he said nullsec battle press releases. Like, nobody's saying that nullsec is better than wormhole space. In fact, I actually, in terms of the stuff that I was doing when I was in wormholes, I really enjoyed that more than nullsec. Nullsec has more to offer, but the wormhole fights were so much more interesting and intricate, and you really had to think about them. So you're talking about nullsec battle press releases, the things that get out in the news and get more people coming in. And Hilmar's talking about more people coming in than ever before. I wonder if that's going to be the same in a year when there's been no major things that keep even the news.
The two things that keep even the news are the long, drawn out scams and intricate like corp theft things. People love to read about that stuff. And two, the massive battles where a ton of shit dies that costs a lot of money in real life, like, Pro God's $1 million battle and stuff like that. Those are the two things. The most fun fleets I have ever had, in EVE have been when Pando and a group of 10 of us or so would go out in his little remote rep fleets and go and pick fights. When I'm out with the Nano Boys with Karma Fleet and we're running around in cruisers and a small size fleet, those are the most fun that I've had. Nobody is going to write a fucking article about me going out on a small gang fight. It's not going to happen. So if you want press coverage of EVE, it comes from the big intricate stories that people say, wow, that doesn't happen in a video game very often. That's why people read it. That's what they get started in EVE for, is because they read this stuff or they see this stuff on YouTube and they think, hey, this is cool. I want to try it out. And then they get in the game and they realize they're going to sit there mining and they're bored and they quit. But this is all stuff that these guys know. So what frustrates me and what I'm concerned about when I say I'm worried about this turning into SWG is that by spending all of their time and all of their resources on the new player experience and how do we keep these guys playing longer than 7 days, that means they don't have resources to keep those of us who have dumped tens of thousands of dollars into this game, who are veterans, interested in giving us the content that we want, which is largely the hunting type stuff, the more intricate type stuff, the nullsec type stuff, the empire building stuff. That stuff gets thrown to the back burner, and as a result, what we get is, hey, guys, look over here at the shiny object. I'm going to change Sinos and make you figure out the new meta for 3 months so I can spend all my money over here. And that's what I'm worried that this is turning into.
I'm waiting for when they give out Titans to new players so they feel on the same level.
Well, I'm glad you brought up new players here. I'm glad you brought up new players here because Brisk was talking about the interview that he had with CCP Rise a little while ago, right? And one of the things that it was with Talking in Stations, yeah. And one of the things that Rise said in that, roughly, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but one of the things that he said was that 70% of their dev focus was on the new player experience. And I've got to assume that that includes things like the agency, things like tutorials and stuff. And I'm like, I'm listening to this and I'm looking at the new player experience going, does CCP have any idea what the new player experience actually is? Because it's not that 3 or 6 hours of tutorial missions. It's what happens after the tutorial missions. The tutorial missions are really good for EVE Online.
And we've said this before, and this is what frustrates me.
CCP aren't listening.
It's not that they're not listening. It's that I feel like they think they know better, and that they got to go out and they're going to use their metrics based or whatever to try to find a way to keep people in the game longer. What I have said from the beginning, and I firmly believe this, and I've got no data to support it. It's just anecdotally what I know to be true from all of my experience with this game is the players that stick around are not the ones that figure out how to fit their ships faster, or who have more fun going out and doing a relic site in high sec, or who go do this. It's the guys that find friends, who make friends, who join a corporation, who get to know other players in the game and have a reason to log in beyond the game itself. So
I have a name for you there, Brisk.
What?
I have a name for you in terms of who has data on that.
Yeah, Merc, Karma Fleet.
CCP Ghost.
Well, Ghost actually absolutely has that stuff too.
He said this in Amsterdam like 6 months ago. He said that same shit.
But that's the thing, and it's like,
they're just ignoring it.
But it's not that they're ignoring it. It's that I feel like they're going about it the wrong way. It's one of the reasons why, like, I hate the social science of economics, because in my experience, all economics is trying to find a mathematical formula to explain why people do what they do. And that drives me crazy. Because it's like, guys, I buy McDonald's because it tastes good. It's not because that McDonald's has leveraged the proper price point to develop this thing. And if you price your fries at this level, you can make this profit and this and that. Guys, I buy it because I like it. It tastes good. And that's why it drives me crazy. It's like, guys, you don't need to come up with Let's make the game easier. Let's take out, overheating your modules, because that's a little hard for a new player to understand. Let's take that out because, we're going to make it a little bit easier for the new guy. The reality is all they need to do is find a way.
About overheating.
It's not even that you need to teach. They don't even need to teach them. The best way to teach them? Get them linked up with another player in the game, a mentor or something that knows how to do this stuff and can teach them. Because the easiest thing to do is to get on comms and ask dumb questions and have somebody who's going to be patient and tell you the right answer.
We've talked
that's
about
it. That's how you get people to stick around.
Dirk, so the grief counselors should also be mentors.
All right. Now that's a totally different thing. I want to talk about that.
Let's switch.
PC. All right. So PC Gamer Steve Messner did an article. He was at. They flew him out to Eve Finland home, whatever the hell it was, at the guy's house. The FanFest at the guy's house.
Home, I think is what they call it.
FanFest home. And one of the things that they talked about was how that basically, FanFest is different. What they were talking about was one of the things they want to try to do is they're going to create tools so that when a new player loses his ship for the first time, that a GM gets a ping, or one of the modules, some ISD gets a ping and sees this guy just lost his ship, so that they can have a conversation with that new player and say, hey, I saw you just lost your ship. I know this might be tough on you right now, but hey, can I answer any questions? Do you know why you died? How did this make you feel? I don't know. Whatever.
It's so stupid.
The thing that
and Messner called it grief counselors, and I just think it's hilarious.
It's such a bad name.
Because it's like, this is not going to help people stick around longer.
No, it's not, honestly, if that's what it is, if it's like you lose a ship and some ISD person gets a ping and they actually go and convoy the person, that's going to weird them out, because it's like, I just lost the ship. Oh, shit, I blew up. Like, who the fuck is this? Oh, it's some, like, NPC telling me, oh, I see you lost a ship. Wait, no, this is a real fucking player. That's fucking creepy. That they knew what just lost
now,
a ship.
Well, let me tell you this.
Where are
let me tell you this. I'm old. I'm old school Eve. I remember when you used to die the first time, Aura fucking laughed at you and said, you're silly, you just died.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I want to
play it again.
Was destroyed and you died. Well, actually, your old self.
Yeah,
that's it. She laughs at your ass.
Never.
That was what it was in the old days.
You clumsy pilot. This is
yeah, exactly.
Our escape pod was destroyed and you died. Well, actually, your old self died, and I miraculously escaped.
Welcome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Why
Thanks, Aura. You got out. I'm dead, but you made it out. Ha ha ha. You're silly. You fucking suck. That was Eve when I started. Now we have grief counselors. I'm sorry you lost your ship. Here's a new one. Here's some more is. Come back and keep playing. Come on, guys. That's not
Daddy needs a new bonus.
Come on.
Right. I am never going to say that the whole grief counseling thing is a bad idea. I am going to say that Steve Messner, in his article, turned round and talked about the meet and greet idea. Hey, you're new to EVE Online. Are there any questions? And this is a thing that the ISDs do. It's a thing that the GMs do. It's a thing that the ISD and GMs have been doing for like 5 fucking years at this point.
And that's what drives me crazy, because I feel like
Steve talking about it in 2019 when it first came out.
It's something to talk about. But I mean, at the end of the day,
it's a lead-in to the grief thing, and it's
which I think is funny, and I think the grief counselors thing sounds like that's exactly. It sounds like a joke, like a PR joke.
No, it's never.
EVE is such a hard game that these new millennials and Zoomers or whatever the fuck they're called need people to hold their hands when they die.
My guess is that it's going to be
them signaling to the millennials that look how diverse this game is. They have grief counselors for you when you die. It's not a joke. They're totally serious. They're completely serious about it.
They should have called it something else. Although we were saying earlier, they use the term grief counselors probably as a little bit of a joke. But if it's simply just a system of you died and this is, and then it's someone like it should be an opt-in thing. Like, you died. Do you want help with this? And someone could be like, yeah. Why did I die?
But
then
it's not like
you up with someone, and they're like, okay, what's the situation? Oh, you died like this? Well, this is why you died. This is how you can prevent it in the future. That's fine. that's like, educating people that don't know what the fuck is happening in the game on how to, be better in the future. I'm okay with that. But...
You know what the worst thing about it is for me, right? They're talking about this whole grief counseling.
What's the worst thing about it for you, Dirk?
The worst thing about it for me is that they want to automate it, according to Steve Messner's article. Like they've got this whole, okay, we'll have ISDs addressing people and why they died. But they want to take that and they want to automate it. They want to make the, according to Hilmar, the most critical moment as to a point where people engage with Eve. And they want to automate that.
The problem, though, and this is the problem, I mean, even with the automation, I feel like there are two types of people in the world. The one type, and these are the type of players who I think end up hacking it and sticking around in Eve longer than a week, are the ones who, somebody kills you, you die, and you get mad about it. You're like, how did he do that? I want to do that. I want to go kill this guy. I want to get better at this game. How do I go find this guy and kill him? Those types of players stick around. If you're the type of player that it comes in and you die the first time and your first thing is like, I died.
Flip a keyboard.
Oh, shit. What the fuck is this? This game sucks. I can't believe I just died. I'm not supposed to die in a fucking rookie area. Nobody dies at... I shouldn't die for the first, 3 days of playing any of these MMOs. What the hell is this? I've never played this game again. Fuck it. And walks away. They're not going to make it in this game anyway.
How do I get back?
So why chase after them when you know that that's not the kind of player that you're going to retain, because they're the kind of player that doesn't expect a game that's hard. And this is not one of those games where you can change the fucking difficulty level in the middle if you think the mission's too hard. It's not how it is.
Here's a quote from me from earlier this week. The new player experience is not about the first fucking 6 hours. It's about the people who are dragged, kicking and screaming, into the mission experience that appears to have been untouched in more than a decade. The actual MPE is all about the players who, by luck or by skill, make it past the gatekeeper that is NPC missioning and find something worthwhile beyond that gatekeeper.
I'm gonna quote myself and say, "Shit's fucked, dude."
I mean, you can say that, but I'm talking about it really. The new player experience is not about like, hey, there's a tutorial. It's about, hey, there's something beyond this. There's something more that I want to be involved in. And that's what CCP need to get involved in. Come on, like, but let's talk about the whole corporation aspect. I spent 3 months when I started playing Eve in a high-sec corporation running missions. It was about the people. It wasn't about the gameplay.
Mission gameplay is really repetitive. You get about 4 days to a week before you start just do the same shit nonstop.
And that's why, I mean, I feel like the best way that they can fix the NPE is finding a system. And I don't know how to do it, and I'm not going to provide them with solutions because that's not what I do. I provide problems. They fix to find the solutions, whatever. Connecting players with other players early in that player's time and making it an easy system so that it's not like weird or anything. You do
as long
that,
as it's not goons, right?
Well, even if it is goons. I mean, look, you want to say, hey, maybe you should join Karma Fleet. Maybe you should join Pandemic Horde. Maybe you should join Brave Newbies. Maybe you should join one of these high-sec groups that's not one of these farmer slave groups.
It'd be hard to do... that's a good
getting
idea.
people
It would just be
connected
hard
to each
for the
other.
game to automatic... Because everyone would shout like favoritism if you had it to where like it focused people towards Karma Fleet.
Hilmar
or
has
Brave
his
Newbies.
own favoritism.
So,
or
I mean, you
bias.
honestly can't do that because... I wouldn't give a shit,
back,
but everyone's going to complain for the fact like, oh, those 3 alliances get all the new players
Whatever.
because they get shuffled over there.
So here.
But it's, and I'm not suggesting that you
to-
automatically dump anybody in a nullsec immediately. But the point is,
Right.
these player organizations all are designed around bringing in new players, getting them up to speed, providing benefits and information to them, and integrating them into the EVE community. That's what the NPE needs to do. Learning how the game works is one thing, but it's not so much learning how the game works. It's about why do I want to log in? What is there to do? What fun can I have? And if the only fun you're providing them is, well, I'm going to teach you how to fit your ship so you can go mine, Yeah, you're not going to make it past 7 days.
The thing that's hard about that is that they can't...
So here's the thing I tell all the new people who come to me and say, well, how come I blow it up? How did you get me? How did this happen? I tell them Eve is a 16-year-old game, and if you go on Google and YouTube, you'll find everything you ever need to know about everything else. There's a tutorial for everything. Why aren't they tying YouTube and Google into the things that are happening in the NPE? So when you lose a ship and your automated grief counselor comes up that we just talked about, instead of it being a CCP production, it's a production by Johnny Splunk or fucking some other YouTuber or some guy from Karma Fleet that's made a YouTube tutorial. And that introduces them to these people who are in these other organizations. And that makes them say, how do I get in that organization? How do I interact with that guy? How do I end up on YouTube making tutorials?
Exactly.
And the other thing is, basically you were talking about how they have to find their own drive for the game. They have to find that one thing that they want to do. The game can't really force you in. I mean, the game can make suggestions, and that's kind of what them showing you the mechanics of the game is here's how you mine, here's how you do exploration, here's how you blow stuff up, here's how you run mission. Like, that's all they can do, and it's up to you to, like, what did you like better? Now, obviously, maybe there should be something in there where it's like, this is a very social game, and I mean, CSP.
Well, it's a sandbox.
Well, I know, but I'm sure CSP doesn't really want to say that our game is good because of the people that play it, not because of the game itself. No game developer wants to say that, but they kind of maybe should shovel in, like, this game is best played with other people. Here's the rookie help chat. Maybe there should be some other general built-in global channels in EVE that are, you know, like a corporation a general, like, global recruitment channel that is for everyone can get put into it, and it's where all these corporations throughout the game can go and try to, hey, who's looking for a group? We got people here. I know a lot of scams will happen there, but that's life.
Well, I mean, and that's the hard part.
Recruitment. I mean,
that's going to be the hard thing, is trying to weed out the scammers from the good people. But I mean,
you never will.
At the end of the day,
even exist in EVE anymore.
It's part of EVE,
really.
you know.
Do they exist? Like, bumper scams don't exist anymore as of, like, the Tuesday. Are CCP actively trying to kill that?
Well, the thing is it's a sandbox. So do you constantly chip away at it being a sandbox and make it more linear and more WoW based, or do you leave it as a sandbox? I mean, that's the issue. Like, when you play EVE, and obviously a lot of us have played for a long time, like, oh, I have these goals, I have X, Y, Z I want to do. Okay, I did that. Okay, now I need to find something else I want to do. Okay, well, I'm going to try spying. Go do that. Or I'm going to try to be a Diplo. You know, it's all these different things, but it is very much self-driven. And that's the whole point of the sandbox atmosphere. So,
and you're right.
The more you erode with that.
But the thing is, I feel like that there are ways that they could connect people with corps and other groups and make it more social, so that a new player has a reason to log in beyond whatever PvE mechanics they want to put in the NPE. And I feel like that's what really keeps people playing. Like, there are times when I don't want to play this game anymore. Like, after I got banned, I was like, I'm done. I'm not playing this game anymore. I'm not going to play it anymore.
And then you came back to the talk shows.
And then I came back, and then I'm talking to my friends, and Dirk and the guys are, hey, when are you coming back on the show? And Pando and Chise and the guys are talking to me all the time, and I'm like, okay, I'm back in the game, and now I'm playing it every day again. You know, at least not for the last week or so.
But you got sucked back into the addiction.
Well, and that's it. It's like the KGB. You know, every time you think you get out, they pull you back in, and that's EVE. And I feel like that is why CCP seems to think that they could ignore nullsec or ignore problems and just throw, you know, changes to the meta out there to placate us, while they spend all their time chasing new players, because they assume that, like everybody else, what's going to happen is we're going to keep playing because of the community. But let me tell you, I'm 42 years old. A lot of the community guys, we're getting up there in years. We're not going to keep playing this game for the rest of our lives. At some point, guys like Mittens, Vince, Sport, they're all going to stop. They're all going to start retiring and not playing the game anymore. And at that point, okay, who's the new people coming in line? Folks that are not going to keep coming back and seeing what's happening just because they know that their old friends aren't playing anymore.
That's the
hard part about this game.
Really, that's not even the issue. You know, Mittens, Sort, Vince, Gobbins, whoever. I mean, I was looking at the pictures of the CSM, and I looked at pictures of goblins, and I have to wonder about goblins' arms. I'm sorry, I have to say that.
Be
but,
nice.
You know, we're not talking about those guys. We're talking about the guys who are underneath them, like Mittens and Gobbins and Vince. They're the leadership guys. Really,
a lot of people that work underneath it. Yeah.
Really, the people
Mittens
you're
does
talking
a lot
about
of delegation.
are...
He's really good at the delegation.
But if you think about it this way, I mean, look,
Like-
if you go back and read Andy Grome's book about, Empires of Eve, after the first generation, the Jade Constantines and the Masteps and the Sir Mollys and those guys are gone. The next generation was guys like Balrat and Mittens and Vince and those folks. And other than the ones who weren't with us anymore for whatever reason, most of those guys are still playing the game. I mean, you're still going to see Elo out there. You're still going to see a lot of these guys playing.
And you know what? You're going to see hit by a bus categories for these guys. Not categories. That there's a word that I can't remember.
But I mean, some of the big iconic people.
If Mittens gets hit by a bus, there's a plan for that.
Just
if Mittens gets hit by a bus, there's a plan for that. If Merkelton gets hit by a bus, there's a plan for that. If Gobbins gets hit by a bus,
I understand.
I have to assume there's a plan for that.
My point is that we have not seen a big changeover in the top players, the top, at least in nullsec empires, in a while, and it's going to come eventually. It has to. It's human nature.
It's not about the top players. Like Mittens could continue not logging in for a while, but when is Asher gonna retire? When is Jay Amazingness?
Right, and that's like my biggest fear when I think about
Pilot. When are these people gonna?
When I think about what would kill Eve for me, it would be Darkshines quitting, Pando quitting, it would be Merc quitting, or Tony quitting, Tony Delacour quitting, those types of guys quitting. That's what would kill the game for me, because those are the guys I hang out with the most and I have fun with the most. And that would be it'd be like my corp folding. Like if Kalkin and my guys decided they didn't want to play Eve anymore, that would be tough for me to want to come back and play again. And I feel like that's the secret sauce. The secret sauce in the game is always about the relationships you make with other players.
It absolutely is.
So if you want to get the NPE right, the fundamental point of the NPE has to be about
to play,
making connections that get people to log in.
Well, and it's
not going to be your freaking new player experience guide and teaching people how to overheat their fucking modules.
The new player experience guide is important. People need to learn because it's a very complicated game. They need to know the mechanics. I'm starting to slur already, so I'm shot. But yes,
we should do a bet on what piece of clothing you're going to lose tonight when you go out after the show.
Well, it's going to be his trousers.
I don't think
obviously.
I've ever lost clothes.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm in a channel with
I've
a bunch
lost
of
headsets.
Americans.
I've lost shoes. But
you're going to lose your pants tonight, Drayden. That's the word in
I'm okay. Well,
Americanisms,
I think you'll pay for that.
Right?
I'm okay with losing my pants because that means something fun happened.
No, pants.
Whether it's with another person or not, I don't know.
You're
but
gonna keep your pants. You're gonna lose your belt though.
But anyway, I'm gonna do a shot, but we'll do a shot and then hopefully I can remember where I was gonna go with that. Oh, I do.
Just hold that thought, Drayden. Go on.
No. Well, I was waiting for the sound effect to play. So when you play the game, you get in the tight groups like Brisk was saying. You get that group of people that you're like, these are the people I'm playing with, and I've been there, and then those can disappear.
I mean,
if everyone you're playing, well, hold on, if everyone you're playing with does disappear, that I'm sure, like, because when I was playing, I was playing with Dirk and BC, and there was other people. There was Hakwa and Saragossa and Eagle Eye, Dragger Jack Jones.
Wow.
There was a bunch of people.
Oh my god, that's a.
Do you remember
that's
him?
A name. No, I don't remember Dragger Jack Jones as a character. what I remember is
Jones.
Jack Jones as an alt on Goonswarm services who was FCing under different names but was using Jack.
Yeah. No, that's him. Jack was his main, and then he also went as Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel Westelius. That's his fucking name.
Yeah, Daniel Westelius. Yeah,
he's
that's
on
what I'm
different services, and he's doing
that's
this.
what I'm talking about.
Name recognition. That there is fair enough. That name recognition.
Yeah, no, I was in Persona non gratis with him. We were like a buffer alliance for Solar Fleet back when they owned the whole East. But anyway, I'm saying I had this whole tight group of people I played with, loved it. And then PL and NC Dot came and smashed our home apart, and we were left homeless, and that's when we went to Imperium back then. And I like the main people I played with, we all merged together, like Giles and Jody and all those guys were there, and we merged over into Dirk's Corp, and we moved. So I'm like, cool, all the people I play with are still here. And then over time, some of them started leaving, and then Dirk went to PL, and a bunch of other people left. And it was kind of just like, I was like, and I was almost on the, but the thing that kept me in the game, even though I wasn't playing with them on a daily basis, they were still in the game, and I was still talking to them on a daily basis. And so even though I was enemies with Dirk, I was just chilling and talking with Dirk all the time. So I could see where Brisky's coming from, where like those personal connections, and I guarantee if all the people I put with, if they all just quit the game, some of them quit, but a lot of them just moved other places, and I moved other places, made new friends. But if everyone that just quits, you're out of there. Like it's like it's like Eve itself mechanically is not interesting enough for me to enjoy it just by its own merit.
Exactly right. I mean, if I have no friends playing, why am I going to
social connection, or else I'm out of here.
Absolutely, for sure. If I were only playing Eve for the stuff that I do in Eve, right? And the stuff that I do in Eve right now is I log in sometimes to chat to somebody because they don't want to be on Discord or whatever. I log in to provide a service to my fellow Alliance mates, and that's pretty much it. Like, a lot of the stuff that I do in Eve, I do as like a diplomat or whatever, and I can do that on Discord, or I can do it on Jabber, or I can do it, wherever that's not logged in. And really, the main reason that I log in is because I'm in Karma Fleet. I have that support structure of Tony and Merc and Ford and Brisk. Even Brisk's in that channel, and we all talk to one another, and then we have the Diplo channels, and I have a friendship group that exists beyond the in-game situation, and that's the really big thing. And this is why I'm sat here playing Oxygen Not Included or Rainbow Six Siege. I'm not playing Eve by and large when I have time to play at the moment. I'm playing other games. And I think that's a really sad situation to be in.
I've always played other games with Eve. Eve has been one of those things where now there was about a year or two period where it was like almost exclusively Eve, because I literally was like playing 4 or 5 hours a day. But since then, that was the first year or two I played. But after that, it's been like, I'll play Eve. I'll go on fleets. I'll do some other shit if we're doing other stuff. It's like I will do that, but I have friends in real life that don't play Eve, and they want to play other stuff, and I'll play other games with them. So I'm never
I'm not saying that I wouldn't be in that position, but if somebody turned round to me and in the whole Imperium is in peacetime thing, turned round to me and said, "Hey, I need you to alarm clock for a fleet," I wouldn't do it. I just absolutely
that sucks.
wouldn't.
And that's what I think is the big issue right now.
Absolutely.
And that's why I feel like Chaos and the rest of this shit is nice, and yes, changing things up because it's different. And Wales.
Fucking Wales, man.
It's not enough to keep anybody's attention, because fine, it requires us to change the meta for like a week, and then we figure it out, and then we solve this problem. What's next?
Yeah.
So why are we wasting our time? Hey, Arox.
Erox said he had something to add.
Hey, how you doing?
I want to get to him before we push.
All right, Erox, how's life?
Yeah, I'm very good. I'll tell you what I feel. I feel it more than I can present it as data. I feel that there's a homogenization of the people in Eve. And Brisk, interestingly, brought it up because Brisk, for me, is probably one of the most right-wing people that I could encounter.
He's a
in Eve.
Republican. Ignore him.
Where's your
True.
MAGA?
This is
Not wrong.
really
Where's your
important.
MAGA hat,
This is
Brisk?
really important, Dirk, because he quoted Jade Constantine, who is entirely the opposite of Brisk, politically speaking. And he said that Jade Constantine was a person that he would look up to and he would admire as a gamer. And I can understand exactly what he means by that, because Jade Constantine is someone who Brisk would possibly hate, but at the same time, he is someone who Brisk could rally against. And we don't have much of that in Eve these days. It's very homogenized, that everyone is kind of the same. Everyone wants to be cool, and everybody wants to be liked on Reddit, and everybody wants to be a thing, and no one wants to be a wanker.
Yeah, we could use a bad bad guys.
No,
That would be nice.
no. I really want to say that I really, really agree with what Eric has just said there, actually, because, you know, when it comes to the glassing of tribute, we can make this whole big thing about it. We can make it a whole deal where the Imperium invaded Tribute because our lifelong enemies are there. But really, we just wanted a thing to do. We just wanted to have content for once.
Dankly.
Right. So we're inventing these conflict
we're inventing
drivers.
these grievances.
Yeah, we're inventing everything.
The whole grievance is no longer withhold.
You know, there's no question about...
That was the joke. Mitten said it a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
It's like the one thing that sucks about going to these Eve meets is I get to meet these other guys that I hate, and I realize they're kind of cool and I like them.
Yeah.
So it makes it harder for me to fight them.
Well,
you know, but I mean the problem is
if you do this
I agree.
thing, Brisk, we're you know, if you do this RP thing, you don't have to worry about any of that shit.
But
that's true. I mean, look, as far as I'm concerned, Drayden and I are good friends. If I see him in the game, I'm blowing his ass up first because I know who he is.
When Blackout first happened, I actually was hunting you, Britt. I found a wormhole to you and Dirk Space.
Yes, you were.
Yeah,
you were trying to find
I killed a couple of your buddies, but I was hunting you and Dirk specifically. I'm like,
exactly.
Please let them be out ratting because I want to.
Where are they? I want to kill them.
And I would kill Brisk and I would shit all over him and shit.
Like I got headshot by a test the first thing the other day in one of our fleets, and there was no reason for them to come after me other than I'm me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
combat in game is not combat in real life. Like you have to deal with
this is absolutely the thing, right? You know, we can create conflict in the game if the North has some really, really useful product, some moon goo or, you know, ore product that just we can't get. And so we have to either create a trade deal, which may or may not happen, or we have to just invade it together. And that's a thing. But when we don't have to invade anywhere to get what we want, and we're talking to one another, and I mean, this is a thing that happened when the blackout happened, right? The drifters thing happened.
I don't know
and
if
that
it was
pushed... The drifters thing
would shoot you in the fucking face and melt it.
The drifters thing did actually happen to put most of the nullsec leaders in a single Discord channel, right? And that's the worst thing. That was the worst thing that CCP could ever have done, because now we all have to treat people as
Maybe it's not the worst thing that they could have done. Maybe it's the best thing that they could have done. Maybe the nullsec leaders in those backroom smoke-filled rooms kind of organize who they're going to fuck with next.
Well, so
tinfoil.
This is
that's look. I agree. Look,
come on.
The bottom line, and FSync said it in the chat, is we need friction points. We need content drivers that make people go fight each other. That's it. That's what CC. If CCP wants to fix nullsec and they want to do chaos and all this other kind of bullshit, find reasons for us to fight. Create reasons for us to fight,
No,
and we
CCP
will
has got
fight.
fuck all to do with
Real
the
quick.
reasons for us
But
to
they
fight.
look. That's the thing.
Wait,
CCP has
wait.
nothing to do with the reasons for us to fight.
No,
We
no, this is the
generate
point,
our
Eric.
own
But they
reasons.
can. That is something they
I got
can
something
do.
to say.
No,
I got the
they
conch.
shouldn't be.
Yeah.
CCP should never be involved in the meta.
Drayden,
They should
tell us
never
how
be
great.
involved
Tell
in
us
the
how great
meta.
the
I
wormhole
got
things
the
are.
conch. Now, this is just speculation, but I'm wondering. Now, I know there's been. We've always talked about skill injectors have been the downfall and all that stuff, but I wonder if their whole amping up the nullsec economy with resources and stuff, and also maybe the moon stuff, because back in the day, what was the major content driver? Moon ownership. What regions had the best moons? Those were the regions that were the most sought after, the most defended, and you would have Goonswarm and PanFam fighting over those moons, and you'd have the other outside groups. So you would have these constant wars because there was actually a solid gain, because if you won the war, you get the massive giant income
there seems
pumping
to
out
be no
moon
reason
thing.
to
But they've
cross the
changed the moon
Rubicon.
mining. They've also changed all of with the Verquil, even though us in NC we're out in drone lands, it's not the best space, but you know what? It's perfectly sufficient to support us. There's no reason, and Goons and
there's
Imperium
no
have
reason to
Delve and
leave
Fountain.
your
It's
own
like they don't
space,
need
Drayden. You're
anywhere else, so
correct.
they don't
You're
need to
absolutely
invade.
fucking spot
Well,
on,
I
dude.
know, I'm just
There's
saying,
no
they-
reason to leave your space.
They don't need
If you
to
can't,
invade anywhere
if you
because they
can't
have
find
everything.
a reason
We
to
have
cross
everything.
the Rubicon, then why the fuck would you?
Everyone has everything they need, so there's no reason or goal to invade someone other than just out of spite.
And that's
just
the
to
problem.
blow stuff up.
Exactly.
They need,
And that's a problem. And
they need
unless
to invent some
unless
kind
we
of
get some,
resource that is isolated
Like-
and contested, and
I mean,
then
that-
it will
that's-
cause fights.
That's a
now
that's
that's
a word.
that to Eric's point that
But then
yes,
you end up with an OTEC situation where you
Part-
create trade deals with other
We're already
corporations.
there.
Here's the
other
thing.
alliances.
What I'm
already
saying
there.
is
Thing without
CCP
a
can
conflict.
create these friction points if they want to. That doesn't mean that we can't in nullsec create them ourselves by saying, guess what? Fuck you, Test. Billy, I think you're ugly and your mother dresses you funny, and we're gonna go fight your ass. We can do that if we wanted to. But why would we do it? I mean, that's the thing. What's the benefit? If all it means is we're going to have to run through a bunch of stuff and maybe have a little bit of fun, but it's going to be a giant pain in the ass, like when we did the NC Dot thing, we came after you guys hard. And what happened? We killed a bunch of keep stars, but you didn't fight back, so the fun wasn't there. So why the fuck are we still doing it? I mean that's the part. If you don't, if you're not providing fun, good fights for folks, then it doesn't. It's not fun, and there's no reason to do it. That's why one of the reasons why I've suggested was asset safety type stuff. Think about that. Give us a reason to fight.
That's
monetize.
absolutely
I
get where you're coming from, Brisk, but I've never been a fan of the what's the word? Oh, fun fights. No one gives a fuck about fun fights. Everybody
fun
wants
fights aren't the thing.
Everybody
we
wants
want
to fucking bludgeon
incentives to
somebody,
fight.
right?
I find that the fights that I enjoy the most are the ones where both sides can win. Both sides can say they accomplished something,
right?
So that both sides are walking away saying, "Hey, I won. We won the IST war. We won the objective. Whatever."
That's what
those are the best fights.
That's what I was saying before. And they're adding new ships like the Dragolivian ships. They're adding new ships. They're adding new abyssal site. They're adding all this other stuff. That's stuff to do. But if you're wanting to generate conflict, you have to have something to conflict over. So they need to add. They need to add some kind of new resource.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm an old
and it needs to be in certain
I don't
spots.
give a fuck.
Look, they can do.
I don't give a fuck whether you want to come out even on an escort or whether you give a fuck about how much space you lost. I don't care about any of that shit.
Here's a real deal. Here's
a
real deal for you. Like real deal for you guys. It
Real
doesn't
deal.
matter whether or not one side or another can win. What matters is the fact that until one side makes a mistake, one side or the other can win. Really, it's about whether or not
I think
we
it is
are all
really
fighting
important
one another, and
that we should make a distinction between what a win scenario is.
Like, really, I don't give a shit if I win or lose, as long as the reason that I won or lost is due to my decision as an FC, or a decision that I helped to make as a backup FC, or really just as a line member, I was flying a ship and I shot the thing that I was supposed to shoot as I was told, and the FC fucked up. the mistake, it should always be on the person. It shouldn't be about
Oh, and
whether
by
or
the
not
way, stickers were my idea.
Stukas can be your idea.
Fuck you. You
Lies. Lies.
All right, real quick.
Yeah,
Englishman.
you
We-
check the
but
fucking
yeah.
forum site.
We are
I
at
mean-
time, so we got to close out, but we can always push off to After Dark on the other
Drayden
channel.
is always far too worried about overshooting on INN.
No. It's, well,
We're always trying to be good.
it's not as much because I'm so worried about the time. We can go over, but it's more the fact that we actually been behaving ourselves tonight. I mean, we could go
Very well
longer.
behaved.
It's more
We've
the
not
fact
sworn
that
too
Great
much.
fucking discussion.
more the fact that
one I
usually
wanted to
I'm used
come
to the
on the
fact
main
that-
program for.
like there's no
I'm glad you
other-
came on, Aaron.
There's no other Dirk tonight. There's no
Drayden, what did you do?
It's a class.
Well, I'm just saying, like, there's no Dirk
What the
McGurk
fuck
on
are you
tonight.
doing
Now,
now, B? You
normally,
wanna
like,
get
it's...
Wait,
singing in
no,
Gaelic.
that's a duck. Fuck you.
No, I said
Come
there's
at
no Dirk
me.
Just the
McGurk.
wrong
There's no
Dirk.
Dirk McGurk. Usually, Dirk McGurk and I get so
We have
drunk
sober
that we
Dirk,
end up
not
getting
drunk Dirk.
super dumb drunk by this time, and we have to go to the other channel because INN does not want us being shit-faced wasted on their channel. They're like, you can get drunk, but don't get stupid. And we're like, okay, well...
I almost got through this
Should we
whole
break
bottle
that?
of wine.
You,
I got
you
a
know
good
what?
ways through it.
You know what?
It
Just
also
blame
makes it
on
really
me.
nice for the podcast,
Blame it on me,
which
Drayden,
I
that's
did
fine.
send those out. So I don't know if she's uploaded them yet, but I did finally send them out. There's gonna be like a month and a half worth of podcasts uploaded all at once coming up soon, but I finally did it.
If you have an issue with the INN guys, just blame it on me, Drayden. It's fine.
Oh well,
I blame you for everything already.
It only works so
Dirk.
many times.
Yeah, we
I'm
know.
no longer an INN, guys. So fuck you.
Oh, I love this song. All right, we'll just close out with this. Shots from the road.
Shots.
You didn't play the last one.
Yeah, we didn't do Crab Rave to play us out.
Run it again. Oh, okay, there we go.
There you go.
There we go.
Shots from the road. We're out.
Good night, everybody.
We're gonna go after show.
Good night.